What if I told you that one of the greatest rock bands in history almost gave up on their new drummer before things even began? Yes, we're talking about Rush, and the drummer, Anika Nilles. But here's where it gets intense. She wasn't just joining a band, she was stepping into the space left behind by Neil Peart, a man many fans believe can never be replaced. So from the very first rehearsal with Geddy and Lifeson, the pressure was already overwhelming. Every beat she played, every fill she touched, was silently being compared to a legend. And at first, something didn't feel right. The rhythm wasn't flowing naturally. The chemistry felt forced. The connection just wasn't there. And in a band like Rush, that's everything. Because they don't just play music, they feel it together. Then came the moment no one talks about. A quiet pause, a look exchanged, and the thought that changed everything. This isn't working. And just like that, her place in the band was already in danger. At first, people assumed the problem was simple. Maybe Anika Nilles wasn't good enough. But that wasn't the truth. Everyone in that room already knew she was talented. The real problem was deeper. It was something you can't easily fix. Chemistry. For decades, Geddy and Lifeson had built an almost unspoken connection with Neil Peart. They didn't need to explain anything. They just felt it. Timing, transitions, energy, everything was automatic. Now, suddenly, they were trying to rebuild that same connection with someone new, and it wasn't clicking. Every section needed discussion. Every rhythm needed adjustment. Nothing felt natural yet. And that's when the doubt started growing. Not loud, not dramatic, but dangerous. Because once a band like Rush starts questioning the connection, everything is at risk. And deep down, they were asking themselves one thing: can this ever feel right again? As rehearsals continued, the pressure didn't ease, it grew. For Anika Nilles, every session now felt like an audition she couldn't afford to fail. Because those early doubts, they didn't disappear. They got stronger. There were moments when the music stopped completely. Moments where the energy in the room dropped. Moments where no one knew what to say. And in those silences, everything became clear. This wasn't working. Not yet. Behind the scenes, the conversation quietly shifted from "let's give it time" to something more serious. Do we need someone else? Think about that. A world-class drummer on the edge of being replaced before she even settled in. Not because she lacked skill, but because the feeling just wasn't there. And in Rush, feeling is everything. This was the breaking point. One more bad session, one more moment of disconnection, and it could all be over. But right at that edge, something unexpected happened. Not loud, not dramatic, just one moment that changed everything.
And that moment? It came quietly. No announcement, no big speech. Just a groove. A simple section they had already played before. But this time, something clicked. The timing locked in. The rhythm flowed. The tension in the room disappeared. For the first time, it didn't feel forced. It felt natural. You could see it instantly. The reaction from Geddy, the subtle nod from Lifeson. No words were needed. Because in that moment, they felt it. And that changed everything. From that point on, things started improving. Not perfectly, but noticeably. Each run felt smoother. Each section needed less correction. Each pause felt lighter. And here's what really shifted. Anika Nilles stopped trying to replace Neil Peart. She leaned into her own style, her own timing, her own energy. And slowly, the band stopped comparing. Instead, they started listening, not to the past, but to what this new version of Rush could become. But even then, one question still remained. Was this enough to save her place? So after all the tension, the doubts, and that turning point, what did Rush decide? They didn't replace Anika Nilles. But not because everything became perfect. They kept her because something more important happened. They accepted the truth. No one can replace Neil Peart. And once they stopped trying to recreate the past, everything became clearer. This wasn't about finding another Neil. It was about building a new identity. And Anika proved she could be part of that, not as a copy, but as something different, something real. Does that mean her position is 100% secure? Not exactly, because with a legacy like Rush, the pressure never ends. Fans will always compare, critics will always question. But one thing is certain, she survived the moment that almost ended everything. And sometimes, that's what proves you belong. Some stories sound simple until you discover what really happened behind closed doors, because what looked like a smooth transition almost fell apart before it even began. And in a band like Rush, moments like that can change everything. So the real question is, was this just the beginning of something new, or the warning sign of something bigger ahead? Only time will tell. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you like, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Anika Nilles can truly carry the legacy forward?